Were closed altogether for a while and many flights were cancelled. Trains were delayed or cancelled. On the roads, drivers were urged to travel only if necessary.
In a moment's time, we'll have the latest on the travel situation, but first, Sally Nugent reports on the Great Whiteout.
Early morning in mid-Wales, and the snow had been falling for several hours across the Brecon Beacons. Elsewhere in the south of England and north into the Midlands, this is the type of view many drivers had. The roads were passable, but only with the greatest care. In London, work started early to keep the tube running. Where there was snow, there were delays. But despite blizzard conditions in places, most train journeys went ahead. With daylight came delight for some, dismay for many. The advice from motoring organisations was essential journeys only. Throughout the day on the M5 in Worcestershire, there were extra patrols.
The roads have been well gritted. But I think the public just have to be very careful that they don't become complacent. The weather can be changing, roads can still be slippery, and it can still get icy.
Luton was one of several airports that closed for part of the day and then spent hours trying to catch up on a backlog of flights. We took advantage of a break in the weather to survey the scene across the country by helicopter. From the air, the blanket of snow extended as far as the eye could see.
Of course, the snow looks really beautiful from up here, but down on the ground, it's not always so welcome. Driving conditions are still very dangerous across many parts of the country.
The snow settled up to 6 inches deep in places, with even more on the high ground. Thousands of schools closed for the day. A glorious surprise for children and for the grown-ups who couldn't get to work. Now, as we head into evening, another reminder to take care on the roads.
There could be ice tonight. We will continue to have all of our resources out there working 24/7, spreading the salt, so I don't anticipate the problems, but there could be, and I would ask people, if their journey isn't essential, not to make it.
However long the snow stays around, some are determined to enjoy it while it lasts. Sally Nugent, BBC News.
Hello there. Well, for some of us it's going to continue into this evening, but for others it's certainly going to die away, the falling snow I'm talking about. But what we have at the moment is a severe weather warning for widespread ice across England and Wales. Now, it's going to be especially across the areas where we've got the snow that has already fallen, and we could also have some freezing fog here too. As we drift further north, look at those temperatures, -1, -2, but in rural areas, in the Midlands, for example, or Wales, it could be as low as -6 or 7. So a cold and frosty start to the day across Wales with some ice around. And as we move into Northern Ireland, here too, a cold start to the day with some showers around. Wintry showers in the north and the east of Scotland, but for the rest of Scotland, generally dry. But again, it's going to be cold with some frost, and when it's been damp, we could also have some icy patches too. For Northern England, some patchy fog around. And then as we move across the Midlands, East Anglia and south, well, here we could well have some freezing fog patches as well as the ice. But from the Isle of Wight into the southwest of England, well, here we've got thicker cloud producing some rain, so the temperature's not quite as low. Plymouth, for example, starting at about 4 degrees Celsius. So as we go through the day, we'll lose much of the fog and the frost, and it'll be quite a grey, dull day with quite a brisk easterly wind. And in the south of the country, you can see the rain spilling in, moving northwards, possibly producing some of a wintry mix around the Salisbury Plain, for example, to higher ground, and a cold day in prospect away from that rain band. Now, we've got another area of low pressure coming in overnight, Friday night into Saturday, and that's going to bring in some rain and some further snow across Wales, into the Midlands and into the north of England. So a fine day for Scotland and for Northern Ireland, but we're not out of the woods because we could see further snow during the course of Sunday. So the weather's still causing some problems.
Thank you very much.
Only because I'm wearing blue, I hope. Now, we have just got a few little defiant dollops of snow left, but really most of it's melted away now, just mingling in with all that wetness on the ground. And it's that sog on the surfaces that's going to be causing us a few problems through this evening. And already we've still got some showers feeding all that sogginess on the ground, and they could just turn a little bit wintry as the temperatures drop this evening. I think more sleet than snow, but just a few showers adding to the wet on the ground. And it's the temperatures that are the problem. Through this afternoon, we warmed up a little bit, getting up to 6 or 7 degrees. But through this evening, once the sun set at 5, very quickly we're starting to get those blues, which indicates temperatures below freezing. And we will be getting down to about -1 or -2. Not quite as cold as the other night when we got down to -7, but cold enough for ice to be a problem. And also freezing fog. Now, freezing fog is really just when you get normal fog and it sits against freezing surfaces and just causes ice. Cars particularly at risk, but that risk really only up until about 9 o'clock in the morning. And the reason we got a time limit on it is because we're waiting for the next weather system to arrive, and that'll be coming along through tomorrow morning, cloud thickening up, and through the afternoon all that blue, just meaning we've got a wet Friday afternoon and wet through the evening as well. So it all kicks off tomorrow morning, that freezing fog, that ice slowly clearing away by about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Then we'll start seeing that rain arriving, pretty wet, damp and glum through the afternoon actually, not great for a start of the weekend. Temperatures about 5 or 6 will be the best we'll get through tomorrow. And Saturday is not a simple story either. More wet weather coming in on the next weather system. So we haven't got a great exchange from the snow. We got rid of the snow, in fact, and it's all just turning to grey, gloomy and galoshes. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Kat.